Hello, everybody, and welcome to the fifth class of a five-part series dealing with the introduction of anesthesia and mechanical ventilation. This class is meant for those physicians who come into the intensive care unit to treat patients, as well as non-medical personnel who are interested to know what happens inside the hospital to a patient who is critically ill. The first part of mechanical ventilation discussed the common parameters and definitions of mechanical ventilation. This class on mechanical ventilation will discuss the ventilatory components, the ventilation parameters, and the modes of ventilation. Now, the aims of mechanical ventilation are to restore oxygenation, restore ventilation, decrease the work of breathing, and replace an inadequate respiratory drive due to a certain central nervous system disorders. The components of mechanical ventilation involve the power and the oxygen blender. Mechanical ventilations are powered either by electrical energy or potential energy in the form of compressed air or oxygen. An oxygen blender blends an input of air and oxygen in order to deliver the mixture at a set inspired fraction of inspired oxygen, which can be anywhere between 20% to 100%. The ventilation parameters involve the control variables, the phase variables, and the conditional variables. Control variables involve three types, that is the pressure, the volume and flow, and the time. The pressure, this is the manner by which we regulate the airway pressure to be maintained during inspiration or during inhalation. The volume is given by the equation volume is equal to flow and the inspiratory time. So a certain amount of volume is delivered to the patient depending on the time for which the patient inspires and the amount of flow of gases to the patient. Time is used to set control the set pressure for a particular moment of time. Phase variables are used to control the events that take place in a ventilatory cycle. They are to initiate the inflation of lungs, the inflation phase, the cycle to exhalation, and the exhalation. There are four factors that can be monitored and controlled during any of these phases. That is the pressure, the flow, the volume, and the time. What is initiate inflation? Here, the ventilator can be cycled to the inspiratory phase by the patient effort, in which the patient triggers his or her own inspiration. Let's say the ventilator triggers a breath after a predetermined time, which is known as time triggering. And manual triggering is when the administrator or the physician manually triggers a breath. Initiate inflation can be due to the patient effort, in which one of the common components is pressure. When the patient attempts to inhale, there occurs a drop in the baseline pressure. The ventilator senses the drop in pressure and delivers the breath. Flow. When the patient's inspiratory effort causes a decrease in the baseline flow during the circuit. Initiate inflation. The second component is time. The time mechanism decides the changeover and is independent of the patient. It is used in a fully controlled ventilation and is a backup safety system in case the patient fails to trigger inspiration. The inflation phase may be pressure, volume, or flow. This is the limit may be reached before the inspiration ends, and these are used as limiting variables. The time period between the end of inspiration and the start of exhalation is the inspiratory pause time. Stop inflation is the inflation exhalation changeover. This determines the termination of the inhalation phase and can be based on the same four parameters, which are the volume, pressure, time, and flow. Now, there are different types for which the ventilator cycles. They are the volume cycling, the pressure cycling, and the time cycling. Volume cycling occurs when the inspiratory phase ends when a preset volume is delivered. Pressure cycling is when the inspiratory phase ends when a pressure reaches a preset value of pressure. Time cycling occurs when the preset inspiratory time is completed. Coming to the exhalation phase. The only function of the ventilator in the exhalation phase is to allow the lungs to empty. Exhaled volumes can be measured by the lungs during this phase. The exhalation can be to the atmospheric pressure, to the subatmospheric pressure, which is a negative end expiratory pressure, which is not used anymore, and to above the atmospheric pressure, which is known as a PEEP, which is a positive end expiratory pressure. The positive end expiratory pressure increases the end expiratory or baseline airway pressure to a value that is greater than the atmospheric. That is 0 centimeters of water in the ventilatory manometer. It is often used to improve the patient's oxygenation status, especially in patients who have hypoxemia, which does not respond to a high level of inspired fraction of oxygen. Coming to the modes of ventilation. A ventilator mode can be defined as a set of operating characteristics that controls how the ventilator functions. Modes of ventilation are commonly understood as the following types. They can be spontaneous, they can be controlled ventilation. There is a particular type of controlled ventilation known as pressure controlled ventilation. That is assisted ventilation when we tend to support the patient's breathing. That is, the ventilator supports the patient's breathing. There's intermittent mandatory ventilation, the synchronized intermittent mandatory ventilation. There's pressure support ventilation, and that is BiPAP, which is bilevel positive airway pressure. Now, what is spontaneous ventilation? This is when the rate and tidal volume is determined by the patient. The role of the ventilator is to provide inspiratory flow to the patient in a timely manner. It is to provide a flow that is adequate to fulfill a patient's inspiratory demand, which is the tidal volume or inspiratory flow, and provides adjunctive modes such as the PEEP to complement a patient's spontaneously breathing effort. Controlled ventilation is when the rate and the tidal volume is controlled by the machine. This can be given as volume control or pressure control. Some of you must have heard about a term known as CPAP. This stands for continuous positive airway pressure and refers to the addition of a fixed amount of positive airway pressure to spontaneous respirations in the presence or an absence of an endotracheal tube. In positive pressure control ventilation, the breaths are time triggered by a preset respiratory rate. Once inspiration begins, a pressure plateau is created and maintained for a preset inspiratory time. Pressure controlled breaths are therefore time triggered, patient pressure limited, and time cycled. So if you look here, where the pressure delivered to the lungs is plotted against the time for which the patient receives a breath. There is a particular trigger variable between 0 and 1. There's a particular pressurization rate which is delivered to the patient. The inhalation is a variable controlling the pressure or flow of delivery. The moment the ventilator stops delivering the breath, that is something known as a cycling off variable, after which the patient exhales. So if you look, it generally approximates to a 1:2 ratio, where the inspiratory time is set to 1 and the expiratory time is set to 2. That is a 1:2 ratio. Assisted ventilation occurs when the rate is controlled by the patient, but the tidal volume is delivered by the machine. In assisted control ventilation, the patient can breathe at his own rate assisted by the machine. But in addition, the machine delivers a minimum set number of controlled breaths at the rate set on the machines. This is assisted control ventilation, in which the patient attempts to inhale at certain trigger points. The ventilator senses the trigger and initiates another controlled breath. Now to explain what intermittent mandatory ventilation and synchronized intermittent mandatory ventilation are. In intermittent mandatory ventilation, the patient is allowed to breathe spontaneously with no machine assistance, but the machine delivers a minimum set rate and tidal volume. Breath stacking can occur in such a condition. Hence, they came later came out with something known as SIMB, which is synchronized intermittent mandatory ventilation. This is similar to intermittent mandatory ventilation, but the breath stacking is avoided by synchronizing the mandatory breath delivered by the machine to the patient's inspiratory effort. That is, the mandatory breath is triggered by the patient. Here is intermittent mandatory ventilation. When a patient is allowed to breathe intermittently while the ventilator delivers the breaths. The advantages of synchronized intermittent ventilation is that it maintains the respiratory muscle strength and avoids muscle atrophy. It reduces the ventilation to perfusion mismatch. It decreases mean airway pressure and facilitates weaning. Weaning is a process by which we slowly remove the patient from the ventilator support. A pressure support ventilation is used to lower the work of spontaneous breathing, and it is used to help a patient's spontaneous tidal volume. Here, pressure support volume applies a preset pressure plateau to the patient's airway for a duration of a spontaneous breath. Here is a graph of pressure support ventilation. A certain pressure support level is set. It can be pressure cycled, flow cycled, or volume cycled. In the flow cycled, helps the patient have better efforts, and in volume cycled, the volume is delivered for a particular time. Now, some of you might wonder whether the pressure support ventilation is similar as spontaneous. They consider spontaneous because they are patient triggered, meaning the patient begins to take a breath. The tidal volume varies with the patient's inspiratory flow and demand. The inspiration lasts only for as long as the patient actively inspires. The inspiration is terminated when the patient's inspiratory flow demand decreases to a preset minimum value. So the pressure support ventilation is used to wean the patient off the ventilator. The pressure support ventilation is patient triggered, pressure limited, and flow cycled. Pressure support is used in synchronized intermittent mandatory ventilation mode in order to wean the patient by increasing the patient's spontaneous tidal volume. It decreases the patient's spontaneous respiratory rate and decreases the work of breathing. Now, I once mentioned to you what BiPAP was, which is bilevel positive airway pressure. This belongs to a system of ventilatory mode known as the airway pressure release ventilation, APRV. In this mode, there are two levels of positive airway pressure applied for set time periods, and spontaneous breathing is possible at both levels. Mandatory breaths can be set and occurs when the pressure increases from the lower to the higher pressure. So this can be conceptualized as two levels of CPAP, also known as BiPAP. So BiPAP is used in order to prevent intubating the patient in case the patient has end-stage chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. COPD is a disease that occurs to few patients who are chronic smokers and who have a disorder of the lung in which the lung seems bloated up and cannot relax or contract while the patient expires. It can also be used in patients with a restrictive chest wall disease, in which the chest wall cannot expand while the patient takes a deep breath. It is also used in neuromuscular disease and in nocturnal hyperventilation, in case the patient tends to reduce the rate and depth of breathing while he's sleeping. So this is the bilevel positive airway pressure machine, also known as a BiPAP machine. This is the mask that is applied on a patient while the BiPAP delivers a respiratory breath. In BiPAP, the spontaneous breaths are triggered, limited, and controlled and cycled by pressure. The mandatory breaths are pressure controlled and pressure limited, but time triggered and time cycled. This brings us to the end of the introductory classes to mechanical ventilation and anesthesia, as well as approaching an unconscious patient in the ICU. Thank you for being part of this series and have a nice day.